Wolfe Digital Tribe to the very first episode of the Veil of Valcity. I'm your host, Richard, and today we're embarking on a brand new series that hits incredibly close to home here in our community of Palacios, Texas. You see, this isn't just a story that I'm reporting. It's a battle for clarity here in our community and really beyond. This series is your exclusive prelude building up to our upcoming documentary that dives even deeper with the trailer set to release next year, which I'm very, very excited about. So this is the inaugural episode, Palacios Unmasked. The first warning signs we're asking, what happens when a city's budget, meant to be a clear map of its priorities, starts looking more like a maze of unanswered questions? For us, the citizens of Palacios, that question has become a stark reality. Let's set the scene. When the city of Palacios published its draft budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, we, the residents, expected a routine budget. What they presented instead was a document thick with warning signs, red flags. And let me tell you, when you start digging, those red flags aren't just gently waving, they're practically screaming, and they have been. One of the first things that jumped out as initially reported was an incredible surge in professional services within this administration budget. This money paid to outside experts, it reportedly soared from $10,000 to an astonishing $150,000. That's a 1,400% increase in just 1 year. And here's the kicker. Absolutely no explanation, just like everything else. No itemized list of what these services were for. For a town of under 5,000 people, really, it's a little over 4,000, based on my research into census reports and other government statistic, ongoing reports that are based on demographics and various things. So they don't just have to come and take a census every year for them to have for the city and the state and other agencies to have an idea of how many people are residing here. So this huge unexplained increase points directly to what some might call a slush fund. Money that can be moved around, spent, or distributed without clear public scrutiny. And it doesn't stop there, guys. We found a 20,000 entry for contract services under a very unclear line item called Other, with 0 vendor names or project details attached. And our street department's budget, responsible for fixing our roads, showed $150,000 for contract services and another $100,000 capital outlay, with no public record of where that money is truly going. For us who live here, seeing basic services like road repair declining while funds disappear into vague categories, it raises serious alarm. We have to ask, where is that money really going, and why can't we see the details? You know, perhaps the most provocative entry was the mention of a $300,000 contingency fund. This is money set aside without a specific plan, no stated purpose, no oversight, and no safeguards. In a city where every dollar matters, a line item of this magnitude operating like an unchecked reservoir of funds is a major provocation. It fits the very definition of the potential slush fund. Now let's talk about grants, which is the main revenue within our city. This is where things get even more tangled and where the line between slush funds and ghost projects really starts to blur. So, grants are like special money given to the city by state or federal agencies for specific projects. The city's budget boldly claims 12 million in grant revenue, but the initial report indicated that only 4 of those 22 grant applications were officially confirmed. That's a massive discrepancy. And it raises immediate questions about whether some of these projects are truly confirmed or if they're ghost projects. Projects used to inflate the budget on paper and perhaps to justify spending that isn't really happening on the ground. The lack of timelines, contractors, or deliverables for widely touted projects that are boasted about, such as the splash pad and drainage upgrades, only adds to this concern. And for all of us who live here, seeing promises but no action or little action, it truly feels like we're waiting for a phantom. All these projects, real or just lines on a spreadsheet used to justify spending that isn't transparent? We have to ask ourselves that question. And this brings me to a direct question I had, an experience that really stuck with me. I asked Tammy McDonald, the HR grant manager, about the administrative operation money from grants. For the Coastline Resiliency Grant, the city listed a staggering $1 million for admin fees out of a total $6 million grant. Federal guidelines typically suggest these funds should be around 10 to 15%. Look, Tribe, $1 million out of $6 million is a 16.67, already above the typical federal limit. So when I asked Tammy about this, her direct quote was, "Oh, we use that money for 2 salaries and office supplies." Let that sink in. $1 million, supposedly for 2 salaries and office supplies. Sounds like a nice job to me. For us, the math simply doesn't add up. This is a huge neon sign pointing to potential financial, let me just say, issues, suggesting funds may be diverted or used for purposes far beyond their intended administrative scope, essentially creating a slush fund right within the grant money itself. $1 million for 2 salaries and office supplies? When trust erodes, so does the foundation of our community. We also looked at airport grants, and I am still combing through thousands of documents that has been released to me both through the FFA and the department, the Texas Department of Transportation. They oversee airport grants and that sort of thing. Excuse me. So we also looked at these airport grants, and the ramp grant for FY 2024 shows $100,000 in state financial assistance with a 90% state share. Communications also clarified within these documents that fixing the airport hangar is maintenance, and it's not eligible for direct FAA capital funding, but is eligible for ramp reimbursements. This explains why FAA funds aren't used, but the initial perception of unmoving projects persist. So all these concerns become even more alarming when we look at the independent auditor's findings from the annual financial report for the year which ended in September 30th of 2022. The auditors found material weaknesses in the financial controls. These are huge holes in the city's money security system. So the general ledger account reconciliations for the 2022-002, the city wasn't properly checking and probably still isn't doing that and matching its main financial books. The general ledger. So auditors stated material adjustments were needed to get the numbers right. Let me say that again. The auditors stated the material adjustments were needed to get the numbers right. Cash reconciliations 2022-003, the actual cash balance didn't agree with the records. That's pretty telling. Tribe, these findings are the fundamental how these financial issues could be happening and could remain hidden. If the city's basic financial records, the main money book, and its actual cash aren't accurately and consistently matched, it becomes incredibly difficult to track and trace where every dollar goes. This allows for money to be more easily misdirected or for slush funds to exist and be maintained without proper accountability. If the numbers don't add up, how can we truly know where our money is going? The auditor also pointed out significant deficiencies, budget variances in 2022-001 within the budget. It says the city spent more money than allowed in certain general fund budget lines. Non-compliance with state laws. Hello. Public Funds Investment Act 2022-004. I'm giving you all this as reference, guys. The city didn't allow important state rules for how public money should be managed and invested. So we also learned that for the fiscal year of 2021, the city spent under $750,000 in federal and state awards, meaning it was not required to perform all full single audit. Or wasn't it? Let me say that again. We learned in 2021 for the fiscal year, the city spent under $750,000 in federal and state awards, meaning it was not required to perform a full single audit. This means less comprehensive external scrutiny on how grant money was spent that year. So let's take a closer look at where money is actually flowing. The December 2024 bills paid vendor list gives us a snapshot of recent spending that, under the light of our concerns, raises further questions. A very large payment to Texas Advantage Community Bank in the amount of $127,000. There's so much money here that's just going everywhere. It's a lot to take in and digest. So it's $127,418.37 from the grants fund. While bank handle transactions, this payment from a grant fund without detailed public explanation begs the question, is this a legitimate part of a grant-funded project, or is it a way to move money to obscure its final destination? This type of transaction can be a suspicious activity indicator in financial investigation. Hewitt Zollers Incorporated, an engineering firm, received $61,476.84 from the grants fund, given weak controls and ghost project concerns. We need clear, detailed invoices and verifiable proof of work. Construction companies like Lester Contracting, which is over $335,000, and Mercer Construction Company, nearly $100,000, also received large payments from the grant funds. Again, the question is not about the companies, but the transparency around the specific projects they're paid for. Let's also touch on our privatized water system. ZJ, cringe-worthy utilities. management received a significant payment of $45,281.46 from the water fund in December 2024. Our research indicates ZJ Utilities Management is a company providing utility services, not necessarily a single individual. But for us, the citizens, the question remains, if the city is contracting out its water services, then why do we still see significant city expenditures for administrative materials and tools in that department? Every dollar needs clear justification. Even seemingly minor expenses like payments to TNT Western Wear almost every month, a uniform supplier totaling nearly $1,000 across different cities' funds, highlight the overall need for transparency. It's these little things that add up, but they're really not small things. And remember the example of pure inefficiency. The Basco invoice within the ramp grant documents showed a $3,488.75 payment where a trip was wasted due to, and I quote, no keys being present, and a subsequent trip found no issues. This waste, this mismanagement, this not putting your brain and your having no brain at all when it comes to common sense things. We forgot the keys, so now we're going to charge the city over $3,000 or $3,500. Let's round it up. This waste is what is draining the budget, and this is what is bankrupting this city, our city, your city. So, who are the key players in this intricate web we've uncovered in Palacios? Well, let's start with the obvious. The city manager, Cynthia Raleigh, holds ultimate responsibility for financial management, for preparing the budget, and is directly responsible for implementing the corrective actions from the audit. The HR grant manager, Tammy McDonald, she also plays a pivotal role in managing grants and is the one who gave that very unclear explanation for the high administration fees. And of course, the city council, our elected officials, they're ultimately responsible. Let me backtrack. They are duly responsible, and we can blame all day Miss Raleigh, but I'm not here to blame her. Matter of fact, I believe that when all of this comes to light, that you will see who the real players, the ones that are, who's the puppet master. It's the time's coming, and this will be revealed. I have nothing to hide, guys, and I have no stake in this. Let me make something clear as well. There's no political agenda, and none of this is allegations. I am raising awareness through public information and through investigative experience, platforms, software, expert witness testimony. I have met with hundreds of people here in this town, most of whom are scared, live in fear. Why? Me and my family have been threatened. My life has been threatened. My mother's been threatened. There's been damaging, vile things that's been said about Crystal and I. There's been attack on my faith, which only gives me a greater sense of resolve. Because greater is he that lives in me than he that is in the world. And as Paul said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, but I have kept the faith. I will not waver. I will not live in fear. And I will be a martyr of my own cause any day of my life. If I'm not willing to die for the very things in which I stand for, my core principles, the bedrock of democracy. This is polluted. Talk about clean the swamp. The swamp needs to be cleaned. This continuation, it's not a one person, an isolated incident. This is decades of abuse of power, mismanagement of funds. Guys, they think that you and I are stupid. They think you and I are dumb. They think that you and I have no sense. The attitude that the administration and council has is eye-rolling, pretentious attitude. They talk to us like we know nothing and that they are entitled. The only thing that we're not entitled to anything. Let me back that up. We're not even entitled to the air that we breathe. And to have the very thing which is the lifeblood of a community, infrastructure, water, the corrosion of trust. So I want everyone to know, I am not against, look, Miss Raleigh has a family. All of these people have families. I'm not looking to scrutinize and put them on blast and try to hurt their reputation. But you did choose the position that you have. And this comes with the territory. Unfortunately, it does. But not unfortunate to me, unfortunate to the ones that have been lying and frauding taxpayers. The only people that fight and want to say something just is downright despicable and unbecoming of any person that would have an open dialogue with like an adult conversation. It's just a few. The response that I've gotten, the posts are reaching hundreds of thousands, the metrics. Washington is listening. And people that can truly make a difference are not in Washington. They're your family. You know, I wasn't raised here. I've got a little over 4 years here. Your blood, sweat, and tears for generations, the ones I'm speaking to now that have lived here their entire life, that their grandpa can go say, well, that's where I went to school. The people that I have outlined and who the major players are and how I feel about that, really. And really, we ultimately need to hold our city council. For me, it's not how much you know or what you know. It's what you do with what you know. And we're morally, and I feel like I am morally responsible. It's my civic duty as an American, as a Christian, as a person, as a human, as a functioning member of society. We must demand better. Their perceived lack of active oversight. They say, or showing little interest in real oversight. And this creates a dangerous vacuum where these issues can persist unchallenged. How these issues could persist, the mechanism for potential slush funds, ghost projects, and other financial impropriety primarily revolves around exploiting those glaring material weaknesses in the city's financial records, keeping records of all the cash management. When the basic books are unreliable, it creates avenues for hidden slush funds. Money can be moved, shifted, or disguised in vague budget lines or excessive administration fees. Ghost projects with real money Funds can be tied to projects that are unconfirmed or show little progress. So this allows money to be spent without a clear, verifiable outcome. And these strange vendor or vague vendor payments, such as large payments to external entities like banks or contractors, if not fully detailed and justified, can become channels for inappropriate spending. So what can we do? What are the proper checks and balances that should be in place in a city like ours to ensure true transparency and accountability? As citizens, all of us, we have a right and a responsibility to demand more. Detailed public budgets. Every single dollar needs a clear label. No more vague line items. We should be able to see these details easily online. Robust accounting and reconciliation. The city must fix those material weaknesses identified by the audit. The general ledger and cash accounts need to be reconciled diligently, accurately, and independently every single month. Transparent grant management. For every grant, guys, there should be a clear and publicly accessible records. The application, the exact budget breakdown, a detailed list of expenditures. And by the way, we actually pay an outside grant agency hundreds of thousands of dollars to find these grants. Begs the question, why are we paying someone money for something we're already paying for, if that makes any sense? Let me add this too. When I asked Miss McDonald on that day, when I went in her office, in reference to where the administration or operation costs that 15%, really it was 16.8%, something like that. Why I asked her that very question that I'm asking all of us, and we should ask ourselves. And she told me, well, we quit using them. You know, that was a blatant lie. We're still using this service, as far as I know, since I last checked. So we need a list of expenditures and regular updates on project deliverables, not we forgot the slide and someone got, every kind of excuse under the sun. It's word salads, dear city manager. And let me ask this. The dear city manager letters are they're third person letters. Who's writing those letters? We ever asked ourselves that? Just food for thought. Administration fees need to be justified in detail. Dollar for dollar, guys. Active city council oversight. Active city council oversight. You know, everyone says you need to attend city council meetings and you should show up and you should blah, 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 blah. I've been there and done that. And honestly, it's a waste of anyone's time to just be given lip service with a bunch of strange graphs and information overload and bureaucratic responses. It's just, what good is that? How is that productive? Well, you need to go and what good is that doing? It's only discouraging, in my opinion. And why are common sense questions? Another question to ask yourself, why does everyone in this administration and city government know everything there is about a particular matter unless it involves them? And all of a sudden their responses are, oh, I don't know, I have to check on that. Okay, that's how convenient. Our elected officials must step in and really we have got to rally together and rally our district leaders, House oversight, Congress. We must, because look, getting anything out of this city government is just, everyone wants to point the finger. Well, it's this person, and it's because the city manager, and I'm just like, give me a break. I personally would not want that job. I mean, that job sounds like, who would want that job? It's too much responsibility for an unelected person in that position. It's too much responsibility. They have got to actively scrutinize every budget line item, demand detailed explanations for expenditures and regular independent commission reviews. So we, the citizens, elect them to be our watchdogs, not just rubber stamps. It's not a popularity contest, even though there are many that like to play that one. This isn't high school. You're a full-grown adult. Clear procurement process. How vendors are chosen, contracts awarded, payments tracked. These processes need to be clear, fair, and publicly accessible, ensuring that favoritism on inflated costs are minimized. Easily access to public records. They'll say there is. It's not. It is not. Citizens should be able to get information about their city's finances quickly and easily without all the Wilk, you have to fill out a FOIA request. It could be the most common sense question, and that's what you're going to get. Or you can file a complaint. The city says it's working towards transparency. It needs to show it. Put your money where your mouth is. Look, tribe, this is the story of Palacios. It's my town. It's your town. It's a story of numbers that don't add up, promises that remain unfulfilled, and a deep nagging question about where is everyone's money true? Where's the money going? Show me the money. As someone who lives here, who walks these streets, and I see these projects, I feel the weight of these questions every single day. We all deserve a government that is clear, honest, and accountable with our tax dollars, and with the oath that they swear an oath to stand, to protect, to defend, not their narrative. This isn't the United States of Palacios. This is the United States of America. And this isn't just about money. It's about the erosion of trust, the dangers of unchecked power, and the urgent need for accountability. And this is not the end of our investigation. It's just the beginning of the Palacios paradox. We will continue to dig deeper, connect more dots, and keep shining a light. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine on this situation, building toward the release of our documentary next year, because the time for answers and for change is not yesterday, it's not tomorrow, it's not a new city manager, it's not this person, it's not a new elected official. The time is now. Right here, right now, we must demand change. Thank you for joining me on the Veil of Valcity. To learn more and support our ongoing investigation, you may directly contact me through Facebook Messenger, and you may also email me. And soon we'll be launching the Wolfe Digital Tribe website. It's going to be wolfedigitaltribe.digital. I'm very excited about that, working hard. There's a lot going on, a lot we're working toward, and we're intentional about what we say, do, and set our sights and purpose and drive to achieve that. God bless you guys, and we need to pray for the city, pray for our leaders, and we must demand more, better. I hope this was informative, and I hope this brought or shed some light on the unknowns. Not everything is black and white. We have to learn how to operate in the gray areas of life, but that's not in government. Government is yea or nay. Let your yes be yes and your no be no, as Scripture says. But governance, and municipalities do not operate in the gray. Thank you again, Richard Wolfe with Wolfe Digital Tribe. Check it out.